In K-pop, success isn't supposed to look like this. When YG Entertainment announced their next girl group, the expectations were almost impossible to measure. This was the company that had already changed the industry multiple times. They introduced one generation-defining group after another, and when BabyMonster was revealed, many believed they were looking at the future of K-pop. 7 incredibly talented trainees, millions of dollars invested, a massive global rollout, one of the biggest entertainment companies in the world behind them. On paper, this should have been unstoppable, but something unexpected happened. Despite the record-breaking debut videos, despite the sold-out fan events, despite millions of YouTube views, BabyMonster never became the unstoppable force many expected. Instead, another conversation quietly began spreading across the internet.
Was it the music? The constant lineup changes? YG's strategy? Or was BabyMonster trying to succeed in a version of K-pop that no longer existed? Because the deeper you look into their journey, the more you realize this story isn't just about one group. It's about what happens when one of the biggest companies in entertainment tries to recreate yesterday's formula in a completely different era.
Following success is difficult. Following a phenomenon is something else entirely. Before BabyMonster had even released a single official song, the group was already carrying expectations that few artists in the world would ever experience. Not because they had done anything wrong, but because of the logo printed on every teaser.
For decades, YG built its reputation on creating artists who didn't simply fit into the K-pop industry. They helped redefine it. Groups under the company developed a recognizable identity. They were confident, charismatic, and often marketed as trendsetters rather than followers. That reputation naturally created enormous anticipation whenever YG announced a new act. So when BabyMonster was introduced, fans weren't just waiting for another rookie group, many were waiting for the next major chapter in YG's history. The company spent months introducing each member through polished evaluation videos that showcased powerful vocals, rap skills, dance performances, and years of training. It worked. Millions of people watched, online discussions exploded, international fans debated who their bias would be before the group had even officially debuted. Everything suggested that BabyMonster was about to become one of the biggest rookie groups in years. But hype and long-term success aren't always the same thing. Because creating anticipation is one challenge. Maintaining momentum after debut is an entirely different one. And almost immediately, the first cracks began to appear.
One of the biggest advantages any new group can have is consistency. Fans need time to recognize every member. They begin learning personalities. They form emotional connections. They remember faces. That's how casual listeners slowly become dedicated fans. But BabyMonster's journey became complicated before it had a chance to fully stabilize. One of the group's most anticipated members, Ahyeon, did not participate in the group's initial debut activities due to health reasons. For months, audiences were introduced to BabyMonster without seeing the complete version of BabyMonster. Then, after Ahyeon eventually returned, another unexpected interruption arrived. Main vocalist Rami later stepped away from activities for health-related reasons. Individually, these situations were understandable. Health should always come first. But from a branding perspective, the timing created an unexpected challenge. Just as casual audiences were beginning to understand who BabyMonster was, the image changed again and again. For longtime fans, adjusting wasn't difficult, but for casual listeners, the audience every company hopes to convert into loyal supporters, it became much harder to build one clear picture of the group. At a time when newer K-pop groups were rapidly establishing distinct identities, BabyMonster was still trying to introduce themselves. And this wasn't the only obstacle standing in their way, because even when all 7 members finally stood together, another question continued following them everywhere. Were they truly building their own identity? Or were they living in someone else's shadow?
There's an old saying in entertainment, your biggest advantage can also become your biggest weakness. For BabyMonster, that advantage was obvious. They came from YG Entertainment. But the moment people heard those 3 letters, they weren't just thinking about the future. They were thinking about the past. And that's where BabyMonster's biggest challenge truly began. Because whether the members wanted it or not, they were entering a company that had already created one of the most influential girl groups in modern music. For many viewers, every teaser, every performance, every comeback wasn't judged on its own. It was measured against the legacy of the group that came before. And that's an almost impossible standard for any rookie to overcome. Every successful K-pop group has something that immediately separates them from everyone else. Sometimes it's a unique sound. Sometimes it's a concept. Sometimes it's a personality that fans instantly recognize. The strongest groups don't just release music, they create an identity. But as BabyMonster continued releasing new music, a growing criticism started appearing across social media, YouTube discussions, and fan communities. Some listeners felt the group wasn't creating a completely new identity. Instead, they felt familiar. Too familiar. Powerful beats, heavy bass, rap-focused verses, confident expressions, luxury fashion, dark visuals, explosive choruses. None of these elements are problems by themselves. In fact, they're part of what made YG artists famous. But that's exactly the issue some critics pointed out. Instead of asking, what should BabyMonster sound like? Many felt YG was still asking, what worked before? And in an industry that evolves at incredible speed, repeating yesterday's formula doesn't always create tomorrow's success.
To be clear, being compared to a legendary group isn't automatically a bad thing. In the beginning, comparisons can even generate excitement. People become curious, media outlets start writing headlines, fans begin paying attention. But comparisons have an expiration date. Eventually, people stop asking, can they become the next big thing? And begin asking, who are they, really? That's where BabyMonster found themselves trapped. Every comeback sparked the same debate. Some praised the group's incredible talent. Others questioned whether YG was giving them enough originality to stand apart. The conversation slowly shifted away from the members themselves and toward the company making the decisions behind them. One thing almost everyone agreed on was that BabyMonster's members were talented. Their live vocals frequently received praise. Their rap line impressed many listeners. Several members had already built dedicated fan bases before debut through evaluation videos and survival-style promotions. Even critics who questioned the group's direction rarely argued that the members lacked ability. If anything, many believed the opposite, that the talent was being placed inside a strategy that wasn't allowing it to shine in the most effective way. And that's an important distinction, because sometimes a group's biggest obstacle isn't the people standing on stage. It's the vision being created behind the scenes.